Merrimack TV content may no longer be available on YouTube. To continue watching our programs, please download the Merrimack TV app from your device's app store. Programs may also be available at merrimacktv.com.
Welcome to the May 19th, 2025 Merrimack School District School Board meeting. Will you rise with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance? We have a wonderful crowd here tonight, and I look forward to recognizing some amazing students in just a moment. But we will first open up the floor for public participation. If you would like to speak, you are welcome to come to the microphone at the back and state your name and address. If you are a student, you never have to state your address. So I'll open up the floor. Then we will move on to the best part of the night, and that is our recognitions.
We are so happy tonight to be able to recognize a number of our students and our staff along with them. First is the recognition of our students who have received the New Hampshire Seal of Biliteracy. Let me just explain a little bit about this. 21 seniors, Merrimack High School seniors, earned the New Hampshire Seal of Biliteracy Award for this current school year. The upper level world language students worked hard to achieve that recognition. To earn the award, student scores must meet an intermediate level of 3, 4, or 5 on the assessment of performance towards proficiency languages, or the APPLE, or the Actual Latin Interpretive Reading Assessment exam, and a 480 on the English portion of the SAT test. In terms of the New Hampshire criteria, specific criteria, it must meet the graduation requirements set by the local high school, demonstrate certainly proficiency in English, and demonstrate extraordinary proficiency in one or more additional languages. So with that being said, we will present the certificates of biliteracy, the seal of biliteracy, to our students. We'll come up front
So
here.
the way we'll do this is Chief Executive Education Officer Bill Olson and I will be at this end, and Vice Chair Lori Rothaus will read your name. If you'll come up, we have for our biliteracy awards, we have 2 certificates. So you'll grab one from each of us and then line up over here because I'm sure we're going to be taking pictures.
All right.
Wayne Alexander. Lily Anderson. Cullen Castle. Alexander Kayot. Aria Demo. Ryan Elliott. Kara Fu. Aiden Ham. Pennington Howe.
You're up.
Jacqueline Huerta, Luca Cabell. I apologize if I mispronounce any of these. I was just handed a list and it doesn't have pronunciation guides on it. Brady Capsambellis. Maeve LaRock, Allie Marone, Nicholas Romero Lizarazo, Piper Seltsam Wilps.
Do you want to do the last ones, or is that too much all of a sudden?
Dave Sharma, Olivia Springer, Oliver Villa, Amelia Walker, and Madison Weldon.
That's the whole list.
That's our list.
We're very proud of all the hard work you've done. Congratulations on an amazing accomplishment.
Hey, Lori, should we have everybody in the middle for a picture?
I apologize for some of you. For some of you, we did not have the certificates from the state, so I will call tomorrow and make sure we get those certificates so that all of you have.
Should we have that list? US first. The US first. Okay.
So I'll go help you down.
In one of the prior meetings, made mention of just an outstanding performance by our robotics team, the Chop Shop. I believe that was down, was it in Houston, guys? Yeah, so you went a long way to distinguish yourself in the Merrimack School Districts, and so we have some certificates for you also for recognition of an outstanding performance in a national competition by the Merrimack High School Chop Shop. You did a superb job, and we congratulate you. And you can come on up when your names are called.
Alexander Alonis. Maya Ashlin. Noah Burrows. Laura Bevel. Tim Bevis. Gracie Brooks. Nina Capagni. Daniel Cruz Scholler. Haley Downing.
Kayan Elf, I'm sorry if I don't know how to say your name. Do you know how to say it? Kayan Elfiki, thank you. Phoebe Fall. Austin Thelmley. Colin Fortier. Trenton Fortier. Shane Gilbert. Joey Johnson. Connor LaFond.
Do you want to do some?
Katie Legay, Alex McGregor, Liam Murray, Ryan Nurk, Christian Page, Caden Rivers, Lucas Selzla.
Congratulations. Did somebody, Tim, you want to tell us a little bit about that competition?
Shane's going to start. Yeah.
All right.
We do have a short speech. But,
I'm gonna-
yeah.
Do you want to talk to that microphone?
Thank you. So this is first we have just a little thing. We want to thank the school board for the support. And then I'll pass a little bit off so Tim can say some things. So, first of all, this season was extremely successful, and we've set many new records as a team. Some of our first, for the first time in our history, went to 5 events in one season. That's something we've never done before. We also were on the winning alliance on our field down in Houston. It's pretty exciting. Never done that before. And additionally, we won 7 awards total, 6 of them being unique, and we won 5 medals, as you can see on display here. This is another record in our 31-year-long history.
We really could not have done this without the support from the school board and everyone else in the Merrimack School District. So really thank you from all of us at Chop Shop for your continued support in making sure we can attend all these amazing and important events and ensuring our success. Thank you.
Great job. I have to tell you, with all of the students that have been recognized tonight, there's great reason to have wonderful hope for the future of this nation and our world. You are the best of the best, and I mean that for everyone here, and congratulations, and we wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Will the rest of the board want to come up too?
As much as we know you'd like to stay for the entire school board, you can leave at any time. Congratulations again.
Sounds like rain.
That's awesome. You guys are great.
Yeah, please.
Hey, Tim. So I was able to get there on Saturday. It was quite an impressive event. My 2 grandsons went, and they had a ball. They didn't want to leave. I lost one of them for a few minutes. So yeah, no, it was really nice. So good job.
we're just, for those of you watching at home, we're just giving them an opportunity as they take final pictures and leave.
Lloyd, may I just say that, sometimes taxpayers will use the terminology return on investment, and tonight was a prime example of the investment paying off in terms of some of the most outstanding students in the country right here, and some staff I would refer to also at Merrimack High School and the Merrimack School District. So certainly a great return, and they always make us proud.
And the exciting thing is the recognitions will continue in upcoming board meetings, because we have many more students to recognize for their amazing gifts, talents, and abilities.
And I just wanted to say that I was able to go to the competition on Saturday, and it was quite impressive. It was just very well run, very organized, and a lot of community members went out to see our first team, so it was wonderful.
All right, just a couple business notes. Board member Jenna Hardy is excused tonight, and Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction Amy Doyle is also excused tonight. And our student representative Finn Haddad is excused. We will now move to our superintendent update.
Well, more examples of pride in our district. First of all, many of you know that the Merrimack High School Granite State Challenge team won an unprecedented 5th championship. Recently, it was a great match to watch against Tilton. And you know what, I don't think I'll ever forget the look on the students' faces when they were passing the trophy around, receiving the trophy. It was just fabulous. We will be recognizing them at an upcoming meeting. This is the first time also that a team of any high school in New Hampshire has had back-to-back championships. So we congratulate the team members and the coaches. Senator Tim Magoo will be honoring the team and the coaches this Thursday in Concord with the legislature, and we're very pleased to hear of that. And I want to thank him and other legislators who will be meeting with the team. More recognitions. This time for our staff. Holly Levine, as you know, an outstanding staff member, has received the honor of Outstanding Band Director of the Year by the New Hampshire Board of Band Directors Association. So we congratulate Holly for that outstanding and very well deserved recognition. Holly has also indicated to us that 10 Merrimack Middle School students recently, on May 10th, participated in the New Hampshire Music Educators Association South Central District on a band. Quite an honor for those who are exceptionally talented. That recently took place in Wyndham, and congratulations to them. Recently, about, I think it was 36 students and some chaperones completed just a wonderful trip to Italy. I have some pictures here to show you also. Heard from Melanie Headland, one of the staff members who was on the trip, in terms of all of the points of interest that the students saw and visited. It was just an exceptional trip. I'll pass those pictures around shortly. The important thing for people to understand also is how much work goes into planning and implementing a trip of this nature. I mean, it's hard enough to plan a trip to Canopy Lake, never mind, a place in Europe. And so we congratulate all of the staff. I will say that Melanie has indicated, and Rich Zampieri has indicated to me also, that some of the staff made comments about how well behaved and how respectful the Merrimack students were. Some of the highlights include the visiting island of Murano, a Murano glassblowing demonstration, taking a gondola ride through Venice. Now, you know, you're looking at a person here who probably hasn't been west of Massachusetts. Never mind Europe. But as I was reading this today and tonight, just so envious of the opportunities. Posing for a photo at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, exploring the history of the Renaissance all over Florence and the Colosseum, and on and on and on. And once again, the tour director complimented the students and the staff on their excellent behavior and respect. And so with that, I'm going to pass around some pictures. Thank you for the extraordinary work that the staff put into this. Thank you for the outstanding behavior and knowledge that the students have acquired, and thank you to all of you for supporting such a trip. Talking about trips, tomorrow morning, about 6:30, I believe it is, a number of students from the middle school will be heading to Washington, D.C. for a four-day trip. They will be back home in Merrimack at about 11 o'clock Friday evening, thereabouts, and they will be visiting the Arlington National Cemetery, the White House, the Capitol Building, the U.S. Marine Corps Memorial, Iwo Jima Memorial, Museum of Natural History, the Museum of American History, the National Archives, Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, World War II Memorial, and the 9/11 Memorial, the Pentagon, the FDR Memorial, and it goes on and on and on. Thank you again for the staff who have planned and are implementing the trip. Thank you to our chaperones who will be overseeing the safety of our students. We know that it'll be a great trip. We look forward to a wonderful report coming back to you at the next meeting after they return. Always an ambitious trip, always an enjoyable trip to Washington, D.C. Trevor Knight, our Social Studies Department Chair at the high school, has indicated that 130 seniors participated in the Senior Service Day. We saw them all around, deployed today at 50 locations in Merrimack, so we congratulate Trevor, the staff, and the students for all of that work. Bill Maniotis, the English Department Chair, indicated that Student Council officers held the Senior Citizens Dinner. This is something that has been resurrected. Had not been done since the pandemic in 2000. And so congratulations to the Student Council. 60 members of the community attended a dinner, followed by choral and musical performances. And once again, the first time in about 4 to 5 years. So wonderful students, wonderful staff doing great things for the community. Adam French has indicated in terms of athletics, game versus Spalding lacrosse game this Friday will be a game in honor of Morgan's Message, Morgan's Message dedication game. Morgan's Message is a initiative to deal with mental health issues associated with student athletes, and is a very, very important in terms of addressing those mental health issues. And the NHIAA also, just to let you know, has recognized a number of three-sport athletes. That is extraordinary when you consider the amount of time that students spend not only in the classroom during the day, but practices and then games. And the following are three-sport athletes who are being recognized by the NHIAA. And that's, I believe is it Shane Alexander, Steve? Okay, it's very difficult to read some of this printing. Melanie Bedard, Nathaniel Bergen, Alexander Coyote, Nicholas Frankie, Luca Carbel, Ethan Martin, Jake Miller, Tristan Plum, and Jackson Woods. We congratulate them. That's an extraordinary accomplishment, being three-sport athletes. And that is all I have for you tonight.
Questions or comments from the board? We will hand it over to our Assistant Superintendent for Business Update.
Thank you very much. This past week, had a couple things going on. It's always a busy time of year when we're trying to land the plane, so to speak, and close out and see where we're at as far as bottom line goes. So far, things look somewhat hopeful. both wheels will touch down and everything will be safe, but there's always the unknowns that prop up at the end of the year. We did have our preliminary audits this Friday. We usually have a preliminary audit. They go over the school checkbooks, the student activity accounts, and they do a sampling of all AP and payroll, and we have that all set for them. Then they come back in the middle of August and do the full audit, where I get 12 CPAs bothering me for at least 2 weeks of nonstop grilling and questioning and whatnot to put together the final audit. We also had a meeting of the school district planning and building committee. I'll let Laurie, who was at the meeting, perhaps update the board regarding that meeting and what was gone over. We did go over really preliminary draft of the capital improvement plan. The one big change is we were thinking about not doing a roof next year, but doing O'Gara Drive, the paving of O'Gara Drive, which is going to be well over $1 million if you include the sidewalk that has been asked for at least 10, 12 years by the town center committee to connect O'Gara Drive all the way to Babusick Lake Road. So that's what we've been up to the past couple of weeks since last we met. That's about it. Thank you.
Comments or questions from the board? For the school board update, just a reminder of all of the amazing things that are happening here in the month of May as we start to wind down to the last few weeks of school. The last 2 weeks across the nation was AP testing in the high school. And that testing, just for those of you who don't know, it's not just advanced placement in their coursework, but the testing is pretty intense. It's anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. And I don't know about you, but most of us don't go to work and sit in complete silence with one pencil, one piece of paper, and a computer and be expected to bring up all of the knowledge on a subject that we have learned without any books or sources or anything like that. But that is exactly how AP testing is conducted. They don't get to drink a water bottle or anything like that during testing. It's pretty intense for students, and thousands across the nation, including here in Merrimack, took those tests. This week there are some makeup tests for those who missed one or had conflicting tests, but it is a real testament to our district to have so many students participating in AP classes and testing. Also tomorrow night is the TFS Family Arts Night from 5 to 7. At 6 o'clock there will be a 3rd and 4th grade chorus concert. They have a really cool hydroponic garden you can check out, and so we really want to encourage our TFS families to come out and be a part of tomorrow night's activities. Any comments or questions from the board? And our student representative update is excused, so we won't have that. We will move on to old business. Is there any old business that we did not include tonight that you'd like to discuss? Then we're going to hear a really cool project. I will invite Emilia Gregory and Amy Gentile up for our Girl Scout Gold Award project. When you sit down, just make sure that there's a bright green light on your microphone when you speak.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, is the microphone working? There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Emilia Gregory, and I am a Girl Scout ambassador from the Green and White Mountains. And today I will be discussing the garden project at Reeds Ferry School. This project is a part of a bigger plan that I have for my Girl Scout Gold Award. The Gold Award is comparable to the Eagle Scout, which you've probably heard of, and it's the highest award in Girl Scouting. And I have like a little presentation behind you. For my project, I've decided to focus on current environmental issues, the mindset that people carry around them, and the ways in which people can have like lasting positive impacts on the environment. This project has 3 main parts: a website, the butterfly garden, and QR code signs. However, today's focus will just be on the butterfly garden. The location of this garden is Reeds Ferry Elementary School. There's a garden currently, but it is fairly overgrown and is not very usable. However, the goals of this plan are to create a relaxing environment that is both fun for the kids and beneficial for pollinator species. In doing so, I hope to renovate the gardens, add pollinator plants, and create signs with QR codes to have fun quizzes and information for the kids on my website. Thank you. That's it.
So tell us more about the kinds of plants that people may not know that attract pollinators, like butterflies and honeybees.
Yeah, so a good one for butterflies is milkweed. Some people don't like to garden as much with that one because it kind of spreads everywhere, but butterflies really love it. A few other species you're going to have is like native plants to here. You can collect them in like you can plant seed balls of them, and every spring they'll come back, which is pretty fun.
And what's your timeline for your project?
We're going to finish the garden section actually this weekend. We're going to start renovating and hopefully get that wrapped up over the long weekend. That'll kind of go from there for the rest of it.
Naomi?
I was the rep on the Parks and Recreation Committee for a while, and they hear a lot of Girl Scout Gold Award projects and Eagle Scout projects. So I probably have a lot of questions. Because I'm logistically minded, it's a lot about logistics. So are you doing any like physical changes to the existing space, or is it like an existing garden bed that you're just planting new plants and weeding? How does that all look?
So it's pretty overgrown right now. There were previous garden beds, but there's a lot of overgrowth, so you can't really see them at all. There's a lot of tall grasses that we are going to remove and kind of cut back because there's a lot of good plants there already. We just kind of need to clean it up so they have room to breathe. And then we're going to add some cover plants to kind of take care of the soil for nutrients and so forth.
And are you purchasing plants and supplies, and how are you funding this project?
So I'm starting a little fundraiser for it, so I'm going to make like crochet flowers to sell. But luckily we do not have to purchase a lot for this project. We have a few good contacts for landscaping, which we can utilize. And as for the plants, I have a few native seed packets already. So.
And then what about going into the future for upkeep of the garden? Is there a plan for that?
I think at Reeds Ferry Elementary School they were going to start, is it the hydro? I'm not sure what it's called. They have like a garden program going for, so they're going to kind of utilize that space in the future. So this is like step one, and then they're going to kind of keep going with that.
Awesome. I love to hear that. That's really cool that you're going to involve the kids too.
Yes, that's the plan. So we are honored and grateful that Amelia chose us to revamp our butterfly garden. It's something that's really used right now, but could potentially be used a lot more if it were a little bit cleaner. I think that we owe a big thank you to Pauline Landrigan, who has taken care of the Reeds Ferry sign on her own for many years and has also been our like green thumb throughout this entire process, but also revamping our own space like in front of the walkway. She's been a wealth of knowledge to know which plants we can replant and what to use and what we can propagate from the property itself instead of having to purchase things. So we're really excited to see what comes after this. It's the start of great things at the butterfly garden for sure.
So I had a question. I know you focused on the butterfly garden, but you said you had 3 parts of your project, which included the website and the signs with QR code. Is that going to be a page on RFS's website, or is that like going to be a separate website?
I have a separate website made already, which I can add a link to the QR codes, which would lead the kids to that page on my website.
And do you have like plans long term for like continuing that website and it being, like 10 years and 20 years from now?
Yeah, the site will remain public, and I have a plan for like making a little quiz embedded in the website so kids can like walk around the garden and be like, oh, what plant do you see? And they can kind of like click which ones they see around them.
Thank you.
Very interesting. You know, in Westford, I'm not sure if you've been there. There's a place called the Butterfly Place with lots of different species of plants. And if you haven't been there, I would encourage you to take a look at it. It's just a short distance off of Route 3, and it's a fascinating place.
So I'll entertain a motion to support this Girl Scout Gold project for the Butterfly Garden.
I'll make a motion to support this project. I'm very impressed by it.
Second.
Any further discussion by the board? Yes.
I just wanted to say, Amelia, correct? That this presentation was great. The visuals were just very cheerful, and I think it will go a long way for the kids as well to be engaging. So I think you did a really good job with that, and also a good job presenting to the board. So many kudos to you for doing a great job.
Thank you.
All those in favor? 400. Thank you, Amelia. We appreciate the work that you're doing. And as a gardener, I love to see more opportunities to help our pollinators thrive.
Right. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Great job. So now we are going to get a progress report on our strategic plan. This is a time of year that we look at that strategic plan and our goals as a district and check in where we are. So I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
Thank you, Lori. If you recall at the last meeting, I gave you a copy of the update to the strategic plan. I mentioned at that time that we would be covering it at this upcoming meeting. I want to thank members of our leadership team for coming tonight to make some comments to you. What we're not going to do is go page by page because we'll be here until next Tuesday if we did that. But we wanted to make sure that you had an idea that we were in fact using this as a planning document and looking to implement some of the goals and strategic initiatives that were embedded and have been embedded into the strategic plan. You know, oftentimes these documents look nice, there's lots of nice pictures, they're bound beautifully and whatnot, but they collect dust and they mean very little. Well, in this school district with our administrative team and our staff, this document does not collect dust because they have been very active. Amy, Matt, the leadership team and our staff have been working diligently. Some of the initiatives we have completed, although some of them, many of them will always be in progress because we're always looking to improve. Some of them that have to deal with, more specifically with communications, because Naomi, you and I and Mackenzie were on that particular subcommittee, we have not made as much progress on because a lot of that progress is predicated upon about having someone come in to do an analysis of our communication, the need for it, the nature of it, the most effective means of communicating. And so what we've done, and you know, I understand this is a little bit wordy, but we've taken and we have kind of summarized the goals and the strategic initiatives under every goal. And I've asked the administrators if they would just make some comments from their perspective and their respective grade levels of the progress that we have made or are yet to make, and just have a kind of a free-flowing conversation with each respective focus area. We will keep it as brief as possible, as focused as possible. I've asked that we, present really the priority items within each focus area so that you get some flavor of what's going on and what has been going on in the school district. So I would invite everyone, if you'd like, to come up. We're probably a little short on microphones, but if somebody wants to grab the microphone from the stand up there, you can use that hand mic. And we'll start off with the curriculum, instruction, and assessment focus area. You see the goals here. There were multiple goals in each respective focus area, and have people and.
I'll just stand here.
Are there any extra chairs at all? That's too bad.
Some
Can
of
you
us-
hear us?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I can start. What we've done at the elementary level from a K to 6, we each have selected a focus area, and it's very broad-based. I have this particular focus area, and this is something that you are very familiar with through the updates that you have received from Amy Doyle throughout the year. This year, we have continued in our implementation from a balanced literacy district to a structured literacy district. This year, we added to that the wit and wisdom implementation. It has done significant work in our district and in our schools and with our students about building knowledge, as well as getting kids to be better writers, better thinkers. And we've had successfully implemented that K to 6, and I know Krigus will speak to his school as well. In addition to that, we have taken some notes to make sure I keep it a high level. In addition to that, we have also are very thankful for your continued support to ensure that we have assessments that are aligned with that, because the data, and we've done a lot of analysis of data throughout the district, is important for us to be able to continue to improve student outcomes. And so we continue with the full year of iReady assessments, curriculum-based assessments, also using Hegarty and other assessments that we've used, phonics screeners and so forth, to measure the progress of students. And as you know, and what it has been presented by Amy Doyle, is we continue to see successful student outcomes. And we're very eager to see the outcomes from this year's learning, especially with wit and wisdom, that's helping us with the knowledge building piece. In addition to the wit and wisdom, we have implemented mystery science, that's from K to 5, that is very well received by our students, in addition to Open SciEd, that is at grade 6. And so students are now, in addition to what they're learning through wit and wisdom, are also learning that through science. Bonnie's continuing to do some work at the social studies curriculum level. And so if you have any particular questions around social studies, Bonnie can speak to that as well. And lastly, we are really proud of the work that we have done with our multilingual learners, our ESOL students. This year, again, under the leadership of Amy Doyle, we have implemented VISTA, which is a higher learning program. Connect is one of the programs we use at the K to 6 level, as well as the Get Ready for those students that are brand new and need a little bit of additional support for our multilingual learners. So just exciting, continue to make excited implementation and outcomes for our students. Any student that you talk to about wit and wisdom especially, they love what they're learning, and I'm sure and hopeful that they're going home and speaking about this, and the content that they know that they didn't know at the beginning of the year is outstanding. So that's just a brief at the K to 6 level.
Can I interrupt
Absolutely.
for just a moment? I just want to say the board is just exceptionally proud of the work that our teachers and staff have done with moving from balanced literacy to structured literacy. For anyone who's watching, understand that that is an entire paradigm shift. It's not just simply saying we're going to move from this math textbook to this math textbook. It is an entire shift in the way we teach students how to read and write and understand language. And while we took it in steps with piloting and lots of professional development, it is still a massive undertaking because it's shifting 30 years of education practice. And I just want to congratulate you as building leaders in supporting that change. It was a major initiative this board felt like needed to happen. Of course, we saw the science of reading just explode across the nation, but many of us had remained in structured literacy programs in other venues. And so we were very passionate about it, and we were passionate about seeing our student achievement just go through the roof. And we were so excited with year one. We can't wait to see year two, because we know that those students are just doing an amazing job in that curriculum. So I just want to thank all of you and your faculty and staff for that work, because it was a massive amount of work.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Naomi.
I'm actually I don't know if you've seen any of the meetings where I've shared this particular personal story, so I'm going to share a personal story real quick about the impact that this change has had. I have two kids. One of them is in 8th grade now, one of them is in 3rd grade, and she was kind of the first group that had all the changes rolled out. And my son was in 3rd grade when COVID hit, and he was the old way. And but talking like before COVID, before interrupted learning, before any of that, he had the whole thing regular, the way it used to be done, and she had it the new way. And even accounting for differences in personality, I can see the difference in my house. I can see how the way that we're doing it now and the way we were doing it before wasn't bad. And this one is so much better. And it's so impressive, and I really appreciate that this change has happened, and I really appreciate all your work in making it happen, and it's been cool to watch.
Thank you. Sorry, Rachel, go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to say, if I have a question for elementary, do you want me to ask now, or do you want me to wait until we hear all of curriculum? Hear everything and then. Okay, thank you.
All right, now we can move.
Then I'll continue with the wit and wisdom discussion, because we also had that in 7th grade for this year, and next year we're excited to bring it to the 8th grade. And just to dovetail a few more things, the feedback from students, from teachers, from families, a couple of other things I appreciate that we haven't mentioned yet was the level of challenge that it provides, and as well as the accessibility too for the students to really practice and learn those skills. And another bit was the incorporation of a lot of other disciplines as well. There's a lot of social studies in there, and there's also a lot of art and some other types of curriculum that kind of all ties together. So we are excited to go for the second year. This was a new initiative that I know you just made reference to, but it was brand new for all of our 7th grade teachers all at once, and so there wasn't really anything to precede that. So this was everyone's first go about it. They're excited to do the second time, and as you know, the second time through, you really understand it a lot more, and you can really tailor to what the students need, and that will also help with the 8th grade teachers as well, who are also going to be starting it for the first time. But in addition, at the middle school, we also had a very similar with our science curriculum as well, with Open SciEd, which is a very kind of inquiry and phenomena-based way to teach science. It's much different than traditional science class, where it's really student-driven, and really the students come up with their questions, and they look at a phenomena. Why did Mount Everest grow a centimeter this year? And they have to try to think about that and ask those questions and go back and experiment, and then go back to the drawing board, just like scientists do. So that has been really engaging for both our 7th grade and 8th grade teachers, 6th grade as well. And we're excited to be going into our second year with that as well next year, which will be pretty great. And a couple other things just to mention. We're really thrilled for next year's 8th grade students who are going to be taking algebra as well as world language for high school credit class next year. Those who've elected Spanish 1 or French 1 have the opportunity to earn high school credit, which is going into the high school, so we're really thrilled. And our math facilitator as well has been working to make sure that the students who take algebra will also get that high school credit as well. So they've been collaborating with their counterparts at the high school, so much gratitude towards the high school administration, high school teachers for making that opportunity a reality for our kids, which is great. And in terms of special education, one of the things we wanted to highlight, Mrs. Kathy Hoppe, who's our assistant principal, she can't be with us tonight, but she has done a tremendous job taking the lead to ensure that all students are accessing all of our opportunities and all of our curriculum at the highest level possible. And we've also, under the direction of Sarah Reinhardt, we've also been able to really maximize opportunities for direct instruction for students while still being able to, maintain the mainstream curriculum as well, which is really exciting, and seeing a lot of gains with some of our identified students, which is exciting. As well as we were able to bring back Title I this year, which is exciting for both ELA as well as for math. We've made our WIN period a little bit more accessible to everybody, made it more like a universal what I need period, so students can get some enrichment or remediation from their core instruction teachers, which is great. And we're also including more opportunities for our MTSSB interventions, so some extra social learning for students that may require that type of attention. So our next steps on there is to review some data from this year as a whole as far as our interventions and their effectiveness and see where we can grow from that. I know Mr. Clare is going to be speaking a little bit more about NHLI and our work with them as far as building some competency-based instruction and assessment, really trying to move our school in that direction. And so our next steps currently is we're going to be refining competencies and creating quality performance assessments. That's our next step in that process. So I know I went through that kind of quickly, but I wanted to share where we were at the middle school. So.
Thanks, Grigas. And at the high school, we've also kind of jumped into focus area 1 this year, too, as well as last year. We worked and continue to work with NHLI, the New Hampshire Learning Initiative on curriculum and competencies. We're in year 2 of hopefully a 3-year plan with them. We used EduPlanet to vertically align our curriculum this year. All of our curriculum resources are now available through our internal Merrimack School District curriculum site and a public site. As Craig has said, Algebra 1, Spanish, and French will be added for credit for the 2025-26 school year. We continue to offer a variety of courses and levels to meet the needs of different learners. Like I said, we are in year 2 of our 3-year competency development plan, and all departments have established competencies this year and started to work on common assessments and rubric development. And we'll continue to work with them next year. And let's see what else. We recently developed MHS data team has started collecting student data, including PSAT, SAS testing, and SAT testing. And we haven't had the opportunity to really analyze that yet, but that's our plan for over the summer. And we will continue to work with NHLI to develop common assessments and rubrics in our competency plan. And finally, we have developed a multi-tiered system of supports framework that we're just jumping into right now. So that's that.
Any questions that you have on the curriculum instruction and assessment?
I do. I just wanted to say first, too, for the middle school, so my personal story is my oldest went through with a different scheduling block and different WIN setup, and my youngest is there now in 7th grade. And it's really just such an improvement with having dedicated WIN time and advisory time. So kudos to you guys for doing that. It's really great. Thank you. Okay, my question is, and it's more on acronyms, so probably just an explanation of what this means. Under the strategic initiative of implement dynamic instructional practices for the elementary, in the middle of that paragraph, it says MHS and MES have exited ATSI status, while TFS has been designated an ATI school. I don't know what those acronyms mean.
Sure. So this is something that is happening at the state level. I don't remember exactly what ATSI means, but what they're doing is they're looking at our New Hampshire SAS data, and they're identifying where there's gaps. So I think it was MES you were identified.
For our subgroup of special ed students, and that their performance was lower than that the state was hoping. And there's a whole formula that they base it on. The student, so many years, you have to have certain scores, but they look at every subgroup. So in our case, when we first were on it, it's targeted support. It was for our special ed population. However, we have recently, as of last year, exited that because our improvement and our scores were strong enough for 2 years in a row in order to take us off of that status.
And the high school, I don't know, Steve, what your subgroup was, why you were identified for the ATSI. Was it special ed as well? Okay. And so Thornton's Ferry, because we did not make adequate progress for special ed, our gap between what special ed has for performance and our gap to what regular ed is wider than it should be. The great thing is that we have the grant, and we're now in our 3rd year of the 603 grant. So we're working directly with the New Hampshire DOE, with coaches, with the person that's spearheading the literacy initiative and really working to close that gap. We've done a lot of training for our special educators this year through the grant. We've been able to purchase some really specialized instructional materials to help close that gap. So that is, the ATSI is really a state designation. Did that help?
It did, thank you. And is that for all subject areas or just literacy?
It could be, for literacy is where we have, yes, you could get it in also other areas, but for us, it is in the area of literacy.
Okay, but you could get it in math or
That's correct.
social studies or somewhere else.
I don't know about social studies
just our
because I'm not
tested
sure.
subjects.
Yeah,
So probably science. is
Exactly,
one. Okay.
science.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a quick question for Steve. Do you have any preliminary numbers on the 11th grade science SAS?
We do. They came in just a couple days ago. They weren't quite as high as last year, but still very good.
Okay.
SAT scores, I just talked to Kay Colbert today about that. We're going to kind of take a look at those tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, we can move on.
All right, our next focus area was facilities, and Matt and I will address this. As you know, Matt has done a considerable amount of work with any available federal and state grants. I don't want to steal his thunder, so Matt, if you want to talk about what you've done.
Here we go. In a nutshell, we've utilized every resource we can, both the general fund and primarily the federal grants that were awarded to us over the years. We've even used some ESSER money to take care of public address systems on the exterior of the buildings, as that was something that we could weave into the ESSER funds for COVID reasons. But basically, when you take a look at it and get down to the nuts and bolts, as far as any safety enhancements, we've replaced every single lock in this entire district. That was hundreds of thousands of dollars. That was done with federal grant money, and that was something that was put out to bid. And we went through, and every door has a Columbine lock, which means you can lock it from the inside. There are a few doors in this district where a teacher, in order to lock a classroom door, had to go outside, lock it from the outside, and then close it. That's not good, and that's not acceptable. So we went through every little bit and piece of it, and we changed it all out over the last year and a half. We have conducted school safety assessments all the time, continually. Tom Tussaud goes around and would meet with anybody who has something to say as far as this window doesn't latch properly or this door doesn't close properly or something like that. So we have those all over the place. We've enhanced our camera system considerably through grant monies again, and the door activation systems that we have. We have a system that we have apps on our phones where we can look at every single door in the entire district. If we need to do a lockdown immediately, it's one button pressed by my cell phone or Tom's cell phone or whoever else we give access to, and we could lock the entire district down in a second. That is a major enhancement. And just to continue on, it says to develop a proposed plan for a new central office. We've had a couple of renditions of those over the years. Quite a few renditions over the years, probably the 20 years we've been working on the new central office. But at least we kind of got our foot in the ground a little bit with the passing of the Capital Reserve Fund for $500,000 this past April, which, quite frankly, was very pleasing to me. That I think the community is finally recognizing there's a need. I don't think the community has quantified how much money should go towards the end of that need and the correction of that need. But looking at the data that's out there, looking at the fire inspector's report, looking at all the issues that can't be fixed with 50 grand and some paint, there has to be a permanent solution. So that was the beginning of getting the ball rolling as far as that is concerned. Let's see, collaborate with staff to understand current emerging instructional methodologies. We're talking about even, going into furniture and whatnot. A lot of the furniture we have purchased has been not your regular combo desks that are hard as a rock and whatnot. They're more agreeable towards UDL and to learning. Unfortunately, this year we had to cut out all our furniture in the budget because our budget failed. And when your budget fails, there is consequences, and one of those consequences is some of the furniture and the items that we wanted to purchase, we're not going to purchase them this year. We're going to wait till next year and see if we can get those back. Like I said, we continually update the capital improvement plan. We were at the Planning and Building Committee meeting this past week with a draft of the 26-27 plan, which is 5 years, and we're kind of playing with where we want to put the big, large items. I had mentioned the roofs before. We were thinking about slipping out a roof, and when you do that in the 5th year of the plan, that's when you don't have to do another roof for around 10 years. Because the roofs we have put on have 45-year warranties, and we've been doing this consistently throughout the past probably 7 or 8 years consistently. And so now we're at a spot where we can have the ability to create capital reserve funds to replenish what was there for roofing. We used to have a few $100,000 in there, but all that money was drained out. So there's only left like a couple of thousand in there. So once the roofs are done, we'd like to, propose to the board that we add money into those capital reserve accounts from any year-end unassigned fund balance that we do have. Safe playing fields, well, we do that. We've hired an outside company to come in, the same company that our district to the north does, that we get compared to all the time, especially with sports fields. And so we were utilizing them over the spring and over last spring to get ready for this spring. And I think the fields look tremendously better. And we've also entered into, the board was kind enough to give us permission to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Legion right down the road. And we did a lot of work on their softball field, and so that's the new girls varsity softball field. You've heard us speak about this before, and it's an absolutely wonderful facility, because as the other one was down the hill in back of the high school, nobody knew where it was. I remember several times during the year where I'd be getting out of my car or do something, and people were asking me where it was, and I told them you have to walk down that hill, and it is very difficult to get to. You can't drive down there. It's not a road. It's not a passable road, and it is quite inconvenient for those who want to get down there and see their kids or their grandkids or their nieces and nephews play. Acquire land to support the construction of additional playing fields. We haven't done that, I would say, in process, but we're always looking out for land. This is part of, I don't know if it's mentioned in here, that field needs study committee that was done in 2013 in conjunction with us in the town. We played a role because, we looked at all our fields together, because we are together as a town, and that plan was done. It was an excellent plan, but I think it needs to be dusted off, looked at again in today's light, and see where we want to go. Some people have mentioned, synthetic turf. I know we talked about that probably 15 years ago. I think it was even a petition warrant article years ago, and it didn't pass. It didn't get much traction. Maybe it's time for something like that to come back again. I know the Planning and Building Committee talked about that. They're looking at how many times during the course of the year do we have to rent out space at other fields, because we don't want to beat up our current soccer football field. And that is true, because a lot of times we rent fields in Bedford to have the soccer program there. So that could be something that we looked at in the near future. We're always looking at space capacity. Right now we're in good shape. 15 years ago we were not in good shape. 20 years ago, we were definitely not in good shape. My gosh, we had the high school at 1,700 kids, and now there's probably 1,100 kids in there. So right now, it's at a good measure of kids to a square feet. Same thing with the upper elementary school. Same thing with the middle school. The only issue with space is the elementary schools right now, especially the Reeds and the Thorntons area. Especially Reeds, I think, more than Thorntons. Years ago, it used to be Thorntons was the heavy hitter, then it was Reeds. Now it keeps flip-flopping back and forth. And we're trying to kind of look for a pattern there to see what's developing. So, and in working with that, we work with the town of Merrimack Community Development Office to get their take on things. We usually talk to them to see what's in the pipeline, what we're looking at as far as any new construction goes, and what type of construction it is. That's all dependent upon if you're going to get kids in your school district. I look at an area like Gilbert Crossing. I was expecting like tons of kids to come out of Gilbert Crossing. Wasn't necessarily the case. So it all depends what type it is, what the use it is, and what's the demographic of who's going to go in there, and how that who is in there now is more than likely going to change over the years as people still realize there is a housing shortage and they're not going to be getting the single family home with the yard and the swing set and everything like that. So maybe that will become a taking off point for an increase in enrollment and kids getting in the system. I have no idea. But, Bill likes to use the cohort progression ratio methodology, which is his fancy way of saying that's kind of the way I've been doing it for the past 20 years, and we kind of agree, that's how you do it. You take grade progressions and everything like that, and get the enrollments. And then we have a wellness task force that's headed up by Melissa Faslick right now. Is Melissa the wellness task force?
There's a wellness committee. It's Jackie McMahon
yes,
and
sorry.
Chinsa Biba.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so headed up by them. Melissa does the Joint Loss Management Committee, look at slips, trips, and falls and everything like that. So I got them kind of confused a little bit.
Matt, can I stop you just a minute?
Yeah.
So that we can ask questions on Focus Area 2 of
Sure.
facilities? I think Lori had a question.
So going back to the fields, I know in 2013, there was that committee. I would really love for us, maybe have representation from MYA, Planning and Building Committee, represented. I know Jenna and I are on the athletic committee, and review the fields that the town has purchased that we haven't, like maybe we could do an MOU with them, but there's land that the town has purchased for fields that have never been developed, like just try to go back and do that study, try to get the board back updated. What does the school district own? What does the town own? And, I know MYA 2 years ago brought forth Pearson Road.
Yes.
And some people were concerned about I don't know if that's why it failed. People were concerned about Pearson Road site. But maybe just take another hard look at what do we own, and is there, other fields that we could develop?
Yeah, that site in particular, I pass it every morning on my way into work, and I always look right and see, that could have been a field, but that didn't pass. But, to get together with the town and to look at their inventory versus our inventory, I mean, we do own 40 acres up on South Babusick Lake Road, which isn't particularly good field kind of property, but it is property, and maybe it can be used to leverage something else in town. I have no idea.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a question, and it may be a better question for Steve. This is coming from Finn in an email that he sent me. It says that let me go back. A strategic initiative, research, design, and provide flexible spaces in each school for special project work, maker space, and innovation. Each space will feature alternative furnishings to foster creativity and collaboration. It says MHS, maker space in the library. Finn said, from the student's perspective, there isn't a maker space in the library, at least not one that's generally open to students. and that there are several 3D printers still being unused in the building that would be excellent for that. So I'm just curious if we have a communication breakdown or.
Last year, Jess got our Learning Commons librarian, and I put some money into a makerspace in the back room of the library. It is there. It isn't utilized very often, but there's a number of different activities kids can do back there to just individualize themselves. And I know Finn has not taken. It started off kind of going well, and it's kind of faded because our library is so new and updated now that they're spending more time in a library, but it is available for students.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that.
May I just say also at the upper elementary, there is a makerspace that Nikki is supporting and we're supporting with a little bit of funding to get that up and running. Just a couple of general comments. We've talked about a lot of things that we have done, but those have implications for the future also in terms of us continuing to appropriate time and funding for building safety, for building maintenance, capital improvements. Matt's done a masterful job at that. As you know, a couple of years ago, we had New Hampshire Homeland Security that did an assessment of every one of our schools. That is still playing out in terms of what we have done and what we will need to do and look forward to doing in the future. Some people in every community across America think that you can run a building for 30 years without putting significant monies into it in terms of ordinary, corrective, and preventative maintenance and extraordinary maintenance. Those are those larger maintenance expenditures that don't fall under the capital expenditure consideration, and capital improvements. We have a comprehensive checklist that we use every year to prompt all of the budget managers in terms of what is it that we need to look at in terms of possibly needing replacement or improvement in every one of our buildings. In terms of Matt's capital plan, there's a method to that madness that will continue into the future in terms of looking at and prioritizing capital needs based on health and safety, based on regulatory compliance, based on enrollment changes and what modifications we may need to conduct, based on energy efficiency initiatives, and simple and ordinary facilities upgrades. We, last summer, and we will continue with that this summer in a slightly modified nature, conducted a very good, very useful evacuation reunification drill. Using the iloveyouguys.org methodologies and protocols. We're going to enhance the training this summer again. As a result of that, we're going to revise the crisis management plan that we just updated about 2.5 to 3 years ago to make sure that we're using the same terminology and the same processes in that. So that as we talked also in terms of, we've done a lot more and will continue to do so with adaptive furnishings for students with disabilities. And that's something we need to always take a look at. We're always looking, and we will be looking at expanding learning spaces through ELOs, which are extraordinarily valuable. Kind of the classroom beyond the classroom. The ELOs, also the gardening programs that we have, the hydroponic at TFS, and what we just heard tonight in terms of the Girl Scout project, so that there's lots and lots and lots of things going on that are exciting to some of us, not so exciting to others in terms of the things that we can do with facilities to improve the efficiency, to improve the health and safety for our staff and students. And so we continue. That's something that I know Matt has looked at very, very carefully every single year, and we'll continue to do that into the future. And I'll stop talking in case you have any other questions.
Naomi and then Rachel.
I actually want to comment on something you said about not necessarily exciting to everybody, but there's ways in which they should be exciting to everybody, because efficient, well-run, well-kept facilities provide savings to taxpayers. So taxpayers can be excited about them. Facilities that are safe provide peace of mind to parents, so that parents can be excited about them. And facilities that are conducive to learning will improve student outcomes, so that, again, parents and also students can be excited about them. So even though this on its face, we can joke a little bit about how it's just facilities. This is vital. This is really important part of the work that we do. So,
we think of that axiom, every action has a reaction, and that's what we look at in facilities. May not be glamorous sometimes, or it may be relatively unknown, but everything related to facilities has some impact.
Rachel.
Thank you. I think I have three things. First, thank you for taking a look at all the safety aspects, installing the new locks, the apps. That's great to hear. Fantastic. It sounds like you've really made some great progress there. So, like Naomi said, everybody can have more of a peace of mind. So thank you. And thank you also for updating the crisis plan that goes along with all of the updated trainings and everything, because it is important to have consistent language. So if an emergency ever were to arise, everybody's on the same page and, everybody knows what to do. So thank you. My second thing was for the fields. I love that we're retaking a look at it again. I would just ask at the middle school that we retake a look at that space. In the fall, those fields are beautiful. And then in the springtime, the teams have not been able to use the upper fields until like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. So I don't know how we can, try and get that.
Well, we've been looking at that for quite a
I know
number
you
of
have.
years.
I know you have. But if we can get into a plan somehow, I think that
And
would be.
there is a plan. We're going to have to revisit that. We tried part one, and I think Andy Hunter was on the budget committee, and he was kind of pressing me a little bit on it, because part one didn't seem like it was enough. Well, he was right. Part one wasn't enough. But we tried it, and it worked to some degree. Now we really have to look at some underground drainage on that field, or redo the top field and make it an artificial surface, because it sits on a clay bed with shale underneath. And it's like a bathtub. It just holds water. There's not nice sand up there.
Yeah.
And so it's a problem. We need to look at it, and I'd love to look at it sooner than later.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I think my last thing, I know that throughout the facilities document, there's a lot of comments in here about the outdoor spaces and what all the schools are doing with them, and I love it. All the schools that I've been at have expanded those spaces in the time that my kids have been there, and I really appreciate it. And Bill, I know that you and I talked a little bit last year about really making more of an outdoor environmental gardening space part of curriculum. So I'd really like to see some advances there, because all these outdoor spaces are great, but if we can really pull in and start thinking about how kids can utilize it and how we can utilize it within our community, I think it would be just the next thing for growth.
Yeah, a classroom without walls.
Yeah.
Lori.
The only thing I was going to say is the outdoor facilities, like the artists in residence came maybe 30 years ago, and they did like a lot of work at the high school, but now 30 years later, some of that work is just really aged. And so I think that, like, if we could also just take a peek, like when you walk in the door to go to the gym, that kiosk thing there, it's falling apart. It's not like falling apart, it's just a mess. And so like that's the first thing people are gonna see. And when the artists in residence did that, that was beautiful. It was beautiful 30 years ago.
They were lights, right?
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know if it needs to be taken down or we need to get more artists in residence here to create more art, but it would just, I just noticed that on Saturday, it's like, wow, that's really fallen apart, and that's the first thing I'm gonna see walking into that school.
That's one thing that Tom Tussaud and I, every time we walk past it, he says, yeah, I know. And I say, yeah, I know. We need to do something about that. And we've been saying it for like 15 years. So, yeah, I mean, initially when it was installed, I'm sure it was beautiful. But, over the course of the decades, things, have to be taken care of. And that's one of them, because it's right there. Because that entrance is the old entrance to the high school.
Right, that was the old entrance, and I haven't been in that door
Right.
except for Saturday. And then I was like, wow, people coming here for the first time, that's what they're, they always look like that. That's what, clean building, but,
And, to talk about the, outdoor classrooms and outdoor spaces, at the middle school, this is something that, started off great, and then it kind of like died a little bit. Chris Narwaki and another teacher who was there at the middle school, they retired. And so there is an outdoor classroom space. It's on town land, but we have an agreement with the Greater Woods Subcommittee and the Conscom to be able to use that, and we had a partnership, and people were working on it. And, now that's something maybe we can partner with the town to take a look at and see what we want to do. But, ever since the dam burst and the beaver pond went away, now everything is changing in that area. So it's a good spot to take a look at so we could move forward on that at some point. And there is money available sitting in the balance sheet. It's around 20 grand.
All right, wellness.
Yep.
Oh, wait, Steve.
I just want to say, coincidentally, Matt literally emailed me this morning about that food structure.
It's always on my mind.
Because we have our senior class and our robotic class want to provide a donation. I think we're going to try to focus on that area.
Great, that's great.
Steve, you'll be my hero forever. Don't worry, Krieger. I still love you, man.
All right, wellness.
All right, well, and I'll let our leadership team make whatever comments, but we have recently, through Amy's work and work with the leadership team and the staff, established a new wellness committee that's being chaired by Jackie McMahon and Chintzia Bibb. Had a couple of meetings so far. Years and years ago, wellness used to focus only on food service. That has expanded greatly, as you know, and so it's not only food service and the nature of the food that we are serving and available to us through the government, federal government commodities program and through local purchases, but it deals with the social and emotional well-being of our students and staff. And so, not sure. The principals and
that one's me. So I think one of the things that really changed this whole concept of wellness was living through a pandemic. We realized that wellness isn't just about eating healthy food. It's about taking care of our children, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our school communities and the community at large. And so we have a much broader understanding of what we need when we think about wellness, and we have work to do. And so this is a really exciting focus area because there's a lot that we can do and a lot that we want to do. So as Bill mentioned, we started our wellness committee this year. It has representatives from all of the schools and different staff members, which is great. So we have a variety of voices. Some of the different things that we have done this year, when we talk about food service, we brought a breakfast program to the elementaries. That has been really exciting. So it was just a couple weeks ago we started with a to-go breakfast for our students, and they look really good. I mean, these are pretty awesome breakfasts. They usually have a juice or a milk or a water. They'll have a piece of fruit, and then usually some kind of protein or oats or cereal. So something that the students can take with them and bring to their classroom for morning head start before the official school time starts. So that has been successful and a really nice addition for the elementary school. We also have learned through all of the work that we've done with safety. Bill had mentioned reunification, our crisis plans. This past week, we did an early release for students, and all of the schools went over that reunification plan again. So when Bill talks about this document not sitting on the shelf, our documents for reunification, for safety, that's a constant for us. We're talking about it at leadership. We're making changes. We're paying attention as we go through our work sessions with teachers. They have questions. We bring those questions back to leadership. And really thinking this is a living document and a living process. So, if you don't practice something, it becomes very hard if you have to implement it. So our philosophy is let's talk about it, let's practice it with teachers. And so there's upcoming work to do this summer around that, and we're going to keep on increasing our knowledge and keep on increasing the knowledge of our staff. Several of us will be attending the I Love You Guys conference coming up. I think all of the elementary principals will be going to that so that we can learn more about the process and about how to best keep our schools safe. So we're really excited about this area of wellness. We have other things too, like we have sunshine committees. We have committees that recognize our teachers, our students, our families. We have system of care in all of our schools. We have I think the most visible thing is understanding. I think that as we're talking about it and as we're sharing thoughts about it, we created this committee. The understanding of what we need and how to get what we need in a way that is sustainable is becoming a reality, and we're really excited about that. And I'm going to pass this on to Chris.
Yep, can't echo enough about being able to take care of staff as well, and that's really important. And just wanted to mention quickly, we saw that in action a little bit this last week. Unfortunately, at the middle school, we did have a tragedy, unfortunately, where one of our paraeducators did pass away. Unfortunately, Miss Alice Lambert, who'd been a 25-plus year member of our district, unfortunately did pass. So our thoughts with her family this coming week. But what was really kind of a bright side of that was we were able to see all of that work that Dr. Rowe just talked about, where the Sunshine Committee, the system of care, were able to not only take care of the kids with their mix of emotions that they were going through, but also the staff who knew Alice really well, of course. And so to see it in action like that was really powerful too, just to make sure that no matter what comes our way, they're taken care of. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Any questions or comments from the board on this area? All right, then we will move on to focus area 4.
Student outcomes, and Michelle? Yeah.
There we go. All right. So focus area 4 is about student outcomes. It focused on what we're doing with our older students and helping our younger students. It focuses on thinking of school outside those 4 walls that Bill mentioned. And it talks about how we're involving kids in choice and giving them voice in the classrooms. So I'll talk about some of the things we have done at the elementary level, but it's really exciting. We've had, I would say over the last 3 years, a real focus on collaboration with the high school. So I definitely want to thank Steve and a lot of his staff. We have a Merrimack Mentors program at all elementary schools up through 6th grade, where our students are paired with a Merrimack high school student who is overseen by their advisor. We work together to come up with the schedules. The kids come down for a half hour once a week and work with our students. They play games. Some of the kids come at recess. Some of the kids come at lunch. And it's just the kids, the Merrimack High School students are extremely responsible. You can count on them. They should come regularly. And our kids absolutely love having them. And some of our kids, if schedules work out, have had the same mentor for a number of years, which is always the goal, to have the students maintain their mentor. We have been able to do a number of different things with students from the high school. The robotics team, excited. Katie Legay has been working with all of us. They will be visiting our elementary school 4th graders, and they will spend, is it an hour or 2 hours? On the island of discovery, and they're bringing robotics and Legos to the 4th grade. The kids are really excited. It's always a great time. We've had clubs from the high school come down. I say come down because luckily we're really close to have the high school, but they've worked really hard to include Reeds and Thorntons and things as well. So all 3 of us have had the students come down and read books about celebrations of who we are and differences in each other. They did dances to show kids different dances from around the world with our 2nd graders. We've had sports teams come down and talk with the kids about what it looks like to be a teammate and how it might look, how you act on the field and off the field. We also have been really lucky. MES, we have location privileges with JMU's. So we have book buddies that the students will work with, as well as different type of club things we've been able to capitalize on. The other thing in thinking about the transitions, we've worked really hard, all 3A buildings, to really use the older students in each of our buildings to help support the younger learners. So we just had our kindergarten screenings, or we're still in the process of having our kindergarten screening, where our incoming kindergarten families come and our kindergartners visit. We had our current kindergartners come and speak to the new families. We had our fourth graders partner with kindergartners in the beginning of the year to ride the bus, to help them open milk in the lunchroom. We've worked to make sure that our kids, the older students, are able to be role models and give different opportunities for our younger learners. The second part of the focus is really about extending learning outside of those four walls. So we've had even just the curriculum changes that we've had in the last couple of years, Wit and Wisdom being a knowledge-based curriculum, is really about the outside world. It's very focused on science and social studies, and the kids are learning about the history of the country, and they have lots of hands-on activities and things that they're learning. The science curriculum with Mystery Science naturally lends itself to those connections outside of the world, to the outside world. We, as you know, we have a number of field trips, all of which are curriculum related, that have kids outside of the building, as well as we've worked things you mentioned, the artist in residence, and having outside organizations, community members come in and work with the kids. Our first graders are headed this week to visit the Merrimack community. So they'll be going to the post office, the library, the Department of Public Works, to see what their town looks like and how it works. So we're working in lots of ways at the elementary level to help them see outside of the school walls. And then the other focus was about voice and choice. We've talked a lot in the past about the universal design for learning. Again, our curriculums are aligned with giving the kids some choices and voice in their learning. A lot of it is focused on showing what they know, and really the teachers are focusing on what the goal of the curriculum is, and making sure that students have access to a variety of ways to both gain information and to show information. So we've made a lot of gains in the area of student outcomes. We're really excited about what's next. Am I missing anything from you? Okay. Oh, just kidding.
Michelle pretty much summed up that leadership role that our students take on a regular basis. We also do a camp convention where I think it's third grade, isn't it, Michelle, comes up from Master Cooler, and we'd like to get the other schools involved, where they go into our science classes and they just invent things with our high school kids, and it's a blast. I took part of it this year. And we also brought back unified sports and unified classes this year, which has been a huge hit. Thank you to Adam French for doing that. So I just wanted to add that.
May I just say also, we're one of the areas we want to expand the ELO program. That is such a valuable opportunity for all students. And here's where the relevance comes in oftentimes, and the passion comes in, where students have an opportunity to explore those areas that are of interest to them. And we want to, through our new director of Pathways, one of our strong objectives, is to expand the ELO program into a number of sectors, into the community and the economy.
And I just want to add that I love the amount of mentorship that is built into our district with the high school students, with the middle school, with the upper elementary, all of that, and even within your buildings. Because I think it's important to understand that education is not just about getting a job. It's not just about learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's about educating the whole child. And having that mindset includes learning those quote-unquote soft skills that employers are looking for. Can you collaborate? Can you work as a team? Can you mentor and train without competition? And we're teaching the students those things through these incredible opportunities. And so it's great to hear about all the different ways that that's happening. Any other comments or questions? Naomi?
I'm just building on yours. They're great opportunities and they're fun too. They don't even realize that they're learning these skills, right? It's like they're just doing a cool thing, and we're sneaking in some broccoli with their mac and cheese or whatever.
That is a great way of putting that, Naomi.
I do want to be just before, Bill, when you just mentioned the ELOs, we do have students that are at the elementary level that are high school students who are earning ELO credits by working within the classroom. And so we have a student that comes twice a week. She's been working in the second grade classroom. And this is I think this is her last week, or next week is. But there's been a number of tiers already that her time is done. So it's been a great partnership for our kids and our staff, as well as obviously helping the high school students.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to offline ask the question about ELOs for future educators happening within our district. So thank you for sharing that.
If I could just tag a little more, because I know we're trying not to move, but our Unified Arts department this last year has really put a focus on careers for their different fields, whether it be art, tech ed, family and consumer science even does a pretty extensive career exploration project, and working to bring in members of the community, entrepreneurs, to help educate students on and get them excited on how to kind of grow that, and even some mock interviews that they were practicing in class too. So it's definitely, like what Bill said, it's definitely a focus everywhere, which is great.
All right, we're moving on to family and community engagement. This is an area that the principals have done an excellent job in providing great updates to, and I'll let them, I don't want to steal their thunder, but from a district perspective, we have some work to do. It's a question of priorities in terms of budget appropriations, what we're going to have to do, and maybe have to do some trade-offs for the fiscal 2027 budget to be able to fund a study of communications, because it's much more than sending home information once in a while. It's what do we do? How do we do it? How do we do it most efficiently? What are the methods that parents utilize to obtain and receive information? How do we need to adapt and adjust? What do we need to do with our district-wide and school web pages? I think if you ask every school district in America about their web page, probably 95% of them would say, "Oh yeah, we need to improve our web page." And it's the same here. We're never quite satisfied with the information, with the availability or the positioning of the information, the links or lack thereof. So we really do need some experts to come in and provide us with a kind of an overall communications plan. We were not able to fund that for this upcoming year, but I'm going to make that a priority for the fiscal 2027 budget by perhaps looking at some trade-offs and reallocations of some funds. And I know, Naomi, you were very active in this subcommittee.
I'm going to elaborate on that, because before I was a bus driver, I did some work in communications and marketing and that kind of thing. And one of the things I've noticed sitting in these meetings, especially this meeting, is we've spent basically this entire meeting talking about all of the amazing things that we're doing right now. Like, we saw all of those kids who are doing great things. We've talked about all these improvements we're making. And really the goal here is, how do we get that information out to the community? Because you still go out in the community and there's a lot of rhetoric about, the test scores are bad, or this ranking or that ranking. And I know from sitting here that that's not the whole picture. And how do we communicate the whole picture? How do we communicate all of these wins that we're having to the community at large? And because clearly there's still some disconnect. That message isn't getting across as well as we would like it to.
And I'll add on to that, and you took the words right out of my mouth, so great job. The amount of misinformation, not just on test scores, but on how money is being spent, how our students are being educated, how are they prepared. We constantly hear that we have this horrible dropout rate that we do not have. All of those components of misinformation are very loud when it comes to the ballot box. And then we have community members who their kids are grown and maybe they're not in Merrimack anymore. And so for school, their mindset of school is what their children had or what they had growing up. And they see buildings and school buses and they wonder what we're spending all this money on. And all of these things are such an investment in our future. And being able to communicate that to every taxpayer is a burden this board has had for the last 2 years, and we've taken some steps internally to make that information out there, but there's so much more we need to be doing, and I agree, Bill. I think this is we finally have to do and not talk about it. We're going to have to find where it fits in the budget, because there's just no way around continuing in the world that we live in without an expert to help us in that communication. Rachel.
Yeah, I can. I'm going to finish my thought because just elaborate again on why the thing that Bill said this, and it's one of the things we talked about is how do we reach people? You know, some of the people we won't reach, we can't reach, whatever. But I don't think that we're necessarily doing all that we could, and I don't know what else we should try or how we should do it. Like, where are people getting their information? What sort of information do they like to get? How do they process it? Kind of the same way we're working on teaching students, right?
How do we get our information at the top of the Google search?
Rachel. Thanks. Totally agree with everything that has been said. One thing that I'm wondering if we can talk about more, a couple of areas within communication is there's stuff we can do without having to do a study. I think one of the things that we could do is improve our website. And I've seen other schools that sit on Power School as the platform. I've also seen one that looks similar to Power School, but it has a different name and it escapes me right now. But I've seen more modern interfaces on top of Power School that might be more appealing for parents to come and find information or for students to come and find information. And I think we need to be able to get it on our mobile devices, because right now you go on the mobile device and I have to say view full site or there's something at the bottom. And again, that's just one more barrier where people won't do it or don't see it. So I don't think that that's necessarily something we need a study for, and we can improve upon that ourselves. And that kind of goes into my second thought of, I know we have a communication committee and I know I'm not on it, but I'm happy to be a part of it because I do enjoy this kind of stuff. But I'm wondering, in conjunction with that committee and maybe with the high school, with ELOs, if we have students that that might have an interest in that, if there's businesses out there that we can partner with to get quick tidbits of information out, because that's how people are digesting information right now. You get them for like 2 sentences or 30 seconds. But is there something that we can do in working with them that can help us get messaging out that we can put on the website or put on Facebook or whatever the social media is or whatever the
Reels.
within email.
We need to have really awesome Reels.
Yes,
and
something. So
TikTok.
those are just my thoughts on that. But I do think we can advance this without a study immediately.
My only point was going to be, I think that a lot of parents really appreciate their schools. They really appreciate the teachers. But when I asked people, did you go and vote? And they said, oh, my daughter had dance. And so I meant to, but I went to dance. And I just want to scream, because I'm like, this has to be a priority. And so if we're not even getting our parents who love their schools, love their teachers, if they are not going to vote, then we're in trouble. And so how do we do that? I don't know either, but we just... that has to be they're the people that are benefiting, they're the people that are happy, and then they're not, some of them are voting, obviously, but some of them are not. And it killed me the next day asking people, did you vote? Oh no, I was running late, and I'm like, it's gotta be a priority.
Could I just turn to the principals, because there's some great things that are being sent home by every school.
So one of the things that we wanted to share is that we do work very collaboratively with all the administrators, but K through 6 especially, because we're trying to have similar experiences. So one of the things that our commitment is to communicate on a biweekly schedule to communicate with families from the administrator's role. one of the things that we do use, and it just made me think, is we use a program called S'mores. It's a newsletter, and they have an analytic aspect to that you can dig into how long families were on, where are they accessing, like what device are they accessing, and using that information to fine-tune our communication style to be able to hit families and to make sure that our message is actually getting to the people who we want it to get to. In addition, with our community that's more and more diverse as we go, it has a translation aspect, multiple languages, so all of our community families can get towards that. And I know our MLL educators work closely with their families to make sure that they're able to access it initially, because we want to make sure that everybody knows how to. We work very closely with our kindergarten and first grade families on this is how we communicate. If you haven't heard from us, sending home information to make sure that we are doing that communication. So that's on the administration level. Our teachers are consistently communicating with their families, again, bi-weekly, with whatever's going on in the classroom, the exciting events, the curriculum, things that when the child gets home, helping parents like be able to have that conversation at the dinner table. And I agree regarding our websites, but now that we are a Google district, we're really upping our ability to connect with families through sites, through Google Classroom, really being able to share what's going on. I always like to say to family, I want to be transparent. I want you to see into our school, into your child's classroom. We also are really working on our social media presence, Facebook, Instagram, all those things, getting what we're doing in the school out on our websites. Out on our social media connections, our local ones, our individual schools, but also the district one. And I see them, I get them all the time on my phone, which is great. In addition, we have a lot of summer events. We have our summer school, we have our ESY, but we also invite our kindergarten and first graders in to get to know the school. We invite our new students in. We invite our students who we know might have a little nervousness about transition. So we work really hard with families and kiddos, with our school counselors and our SEL student support specialists and our whole staff, getting kids into the school in the summer in a safe way through the hallways, because the maintenance crew custodian crew is working really hard to make sure that we're up and ready. We also work very closely. We all have different acronyms for our parent groups, but we work very, very closely with them to hear what they are saying and try to incorporate and make those connections to support the kids and the families and the community within our school and within the district. And lastly, we have a lot of events, and our schools know our big events. I know I heard TFS has a big art show. RFS has a big art show this week. I'm sure MES does as well. We have concerts going on. We have literacy nights. We have trivia night this year, bingo. There's a whole bunch of things. Having fun together, learning together, and celebrating students' accomplishments and work. So we have a lot going on, but we are the same as what you had just discussed. How do we make sure our message gets to the people that we're trying to inform? And it's effective to most part, but there's still population and demographics that we're not getting to as easily. So we're still working on those kind of things.
Lori.
So I was just going to say, Lori Peters could not have, beat the drum any harder this year on the budget. Like every meeting we did graphs, but people don't watch school board meetings. It's not like they're going to, let's watch the school board meeting. So I think one of the things that we could do, because you're the direct connect, and Matt does a great job. He puts it on the website, but if we had something that went out with your letter, like facts versus fiction, right? Because it's the fiction that's killing us. Like, if you vote for this budget, your taxes are going to go up $2,000. And the people go, I can't afford $2,000. And so what is the truth? No, that's not the truth. He breaks it down by cents, by dollars. Like, this is how much it's going to cost if you vote for this. I think if that went out, maybe that would be the thing that would help us.
I know we worked really hard to push out our true data on student achievement. We made sure we got all those things out because we're proud of those numbers. We're proud of our students' accomplishments. So I agree. We can.
Pushing out communication instead of someone having to look it up, we push it out to them.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that our newsletters do, but we can always do more, absolutely.
With Matt's piece.
Yeah, but first you have to identify what the misinformation is. And I think there's been a reluctance, at least on our part, to go head on with the people who are putting out the misinformation and saying, hey, Merrimack, you may have read this, blankety, blankety, blank, but here's the reality of the situation. That's what we've got to kind of take a look at and take a stance, whether or not we want to engage in that fashion.
Well, I think we can engage in it from a proactive standpoint versus reactive in the forums. So I wouldn't do it there, but I think we can do it through other medias. Yes.
Stay out of there.
Yeah, stay out of the forums. But I was just going to add, we really appreciate it when you send the board your events. So you may not be aware of this, but this year each board member has been assigned a school to attend as many events as obviously their schedule will allow. But we appreciate getting those. That's why I read the one about TFS, because it was in my email. And we tell people, and we do promote those, and we do come. So just throw school board on your distribution list, because we do appreciate it, especially when it's a really incredible, fun event. We like coming.
One other goal that we had at the middle school came up just today was that in our building leadership team, we feel good about the communication going out. We were commenting it still feels one way, and it feels like we're not finding the best ways to engage in some of those conversations with families, not even necessarily just about school, but what's going on with students that age at the middle level, because it's an interesting time for sure, and so parents have some questions, and they can respond back to my newsletter email, sure, but just having that conversation, even to iron out some miscommunication potentially too. And so when we don't have that answer, but if we're talking about strategic planning and next steps, that was something that we want to explore in the middle school level, and I'm sure everywhere too, just to keep a two-way conversation going instead of just one all the time.
Well, I think, we had a lot of family events district-wide this year, and I think, brainstorming more ways where we can do that building level, like what you said, what to expect. Because one of the things that happens as soon as puberty hits is communication shuts down with parents. And so we expect students to take more responsibility into their schedule and events and to communicate that at a time when they're really not communicating with parents. And then parents are like, I got all this wonderful communication from the elementary schools, and now my kid's not telling me anything and I don't know what's going on. And so I think, and we have had a couple of things along those lines. And I think more of that at that building level, opening it up for those stakeholder conversations with parents, is a great opportunity to address a whole range of issues. And I know that's more time, and I know that takes more planning, so it's just in the brainstorming era, but I definitely think that would be beneficial.
Oh. Steve, any comment?
I just want to add that back in October, I started a weekly newsletter every Friday. I apologize, I haven't been including the school board on that. I've been sending it to the SAU.
That's okay, I look it up anyway.
Oh, yeah. So you can find it on our website. So it started, maybe one page of, and it always includes a classroom highlight. And everything that is going on in high school is now in this newsletter. It's now gone from 1 page to 3 to 4 pages, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from parents on it. So
It's excellent. I enjoy Hawks happenings, all your information, and Steve, big improvement at the high school in communication with that.
Rachel?
Thank you. Yeah, and I just wanted to add, when all of you guys were talking about, so I've been around, so when my kids were younger, it seemed like we had the start of the s'mores. I remember, Julie, you started some of that, I think, and just how it's grown across all of the schools. And Steve, you incorporating a newsletter this year has been fantastic. So I think a lot of parents do appreciate that. And just like you said, just a lot of the teacher communication. But as Lori said, once you get to the higher levels, you're not communicating as much with, the teachers. So one point that I wanted to hit upon, and also this is finding information within our website. Steve, I think you mentioned part of the curriculum part. There's the tool now that we can put our curriculum on. It's on the public website. So again, just being able to inform everybody that we have that, because I think that's really important. So I don't know if it's just the high school curriculum that's on there now.
No,
or if
it's
it's
K
everything.
through 12.
Okay, so that's awesome.
And there's
Yeah,
a
that's
public
great.
link and a district link.
Yeah, so if that's just something too, if we can communicate that out, it'd be great. Yep.
All right, focus area number 6, vision of a learner and graduate.
Excuse me. This is where the administrators and the staff are working diligently to make the vision of a learner, the vision of a graduate, come alive. By embedding everything we do in that concept of a vision of a learner and a vision of a graduate, principals have done and the staff have done a great job in working in that end. And so, if I don't know if any of you want to address that at all, or Steve?
I can talk a little bit about what we've done at the high school in the last year and a half or so. It was part of our NEAS recommendations. We want our kids to be curious and connected and prepared and resilient and dedicated when they leave the Merrimack School District. So this year we formed a committee at the beginning of the year. Harley Hall kind of chaired the committee. I was part of the committee. He was doing that for his doctorate, I think. And we met every other week, and we established some things this year. If you see my email, you'll see that curious, connected, prepared, resilient, and dedicated is at the bottom of many of our emails. We've started recognizing students with monthly student awards. Just highlighting student attributes with the curious, connected, prepared, resilient, and dedicated. We are just really in just year one of the planning and a 3-year rollout. We have murals painted on the walls. We have new building banners that are completed that haven't been hung yet, but they're going to be. And now this committee in the last month or so has started rewriting all of our report card comments to reflect the vision of the learner ideology. So it's been a busy year of that, and we have 2 more to go.
And I would anticipate that we will incorporate some of our goals into the vision of a learner and vision of a graduate concepts so that we keep a constant system-wide focus on it. And I didn't mean to interrupt Julie.
Yes, so just speaking, the high school, I would say you are ahead of us than the elementaries. So I appreciate all the work that's being done at the high school. We have signage up in our buildings. Other than that, right now, we haven't had committees in place, but each of our schools have what we would call like behavior agreements. It was swim, I think it's for your school. Each of us have a set of agreements, so we're looking at some of them. Those agreements overlap with the vision of a learner attributes, some don't. So we're looking at ways that we can integrate that. Also looking at school assemblies, how can we integrate the vision of a learner with that? If we do some report card work this summer, there's been discussion about taking our characteristics of a successful learner and how that might be shaped by the vision of a learner attribute. So these are some of the ways that we're trying to operationalize it, but we're really at those beginning stages.
One of the issues on those things that we haven't gotten to, although, out of a 100 different things. We've probably done 90. Is time and priorities. And there are so many things. We were talking today about, there was a particular issue that came up today that consumed for a couple of us probably 4 hours during the day. Unexpected, but it consumed 4 hours. And so for all the things that you have done and will continue to do, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish. And for our leadership team and our staff also, they've done an incredible job in moving this school district forward.
Naomi.
I had a comment that I was going to make at the end that kind of follows really well from what Bill just said, because I wanted to hold this up for the people on TV. This is the handout that we were given that covers all this stuff that was just presented. I didn't count, it doesn't have page numbers, but it's probably like 50 pages. And it's available in the email packet of the materials that were for this meeting, so the public can read it. And it's got, they were talking earlier about this being a working document. It looks like it came from a spreadsheet because there's check marks for where we're at, not yet started, in progress, completed. There's the goal at the top, and then each of these strategic initiatives that you've seen up here on the screen have a whole boatload of comments from all of the folks here in this room who presented with all of the work that has been done. And this committee wrapped up, about a year ago?
Yeah.
So this is a year's worth of work that we've done on this 3-year plan so far, and it's incredible to see how much of it we've even put our hands on and done stuff with, and aren't just talking about things. So I want to thank you all for all the work you've done over the past year on this. This is incredible, and I hope that you realize that, and I hope the community appreciates it.
Lori.
I was just going to go back. You made me think of like push out, communication. Like if we could have, 20 copies in the main office, for when parents come in, and then they could pick it up, because some people, they're going to have a hard time reading all the way through. But when you get it as a document like that, and, that just shares the message. And it's an incredible amount of work, and it's focused work. It's all about results. We talk about results. Well, this is all about results and measuring results. So, of course, we're all extremely proud of the work that you do, and we really are appreciative.
And it is always being updated. Steve just entered an update this morning. That's why you'll notice the revision date on this, the one that's in front of you, was today's date. We are constantly, and the principals are doing a fabulous job in really following the plan here. And so you will see from time to time a new version of this. Perhaps another week or two there'll be a revised version, because we're constantly on the move.
Rachel.
One of the things, we spent a long time sitting together and talking about this and putting this document together. One of the things that was really profound for me, it was kind of an epiphany, was when we were going through the check boxes and we kept on checking off in progress, in progress, in progress. And I really realized that that's the nature of our work. So you see the 3 categories, not started, in progress, or completed. And in many of these areas, they won't ever be completed, because we're always going to be striving to be even better, even better. So when we talked about looking at this document and wondering, might there be another way to express that, because very few of these, I think we'll ever feel like, well, yep, we're done with that. I mean, look at the vision of a learner, and that's going to be ongoing and evolving as students evolve, and they change and they learn and they grow, and we get better and better. So that was one thing about the document that was really interesting as we went through it, was we realized that we've done a lot of work, and the work will continue, because that's what our responsibility dictates. So
Maybe that category, instead of completed, should be cultural DNA. It's now part of our culture's DNA. And we have embedded that in. So you just talk about that in terms of goal setting, just generally in strategic plans. There are things that are goals, and you want to focus on them for a couple of years, but then they become just ongoing work and part of your organizational DNA. So maybe we should change that category title to something more aligned with that idea. Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just wanted to echo what everyone has said. So you guys spend your day with students, with staff, and you still find time to write in spreadsheets. You find time to spread, your leadership throughout the building and really, get your staff involved so that the kids do, take on that vision of a learner and take on all those attributes that we worked on as the committee. So I really just want to thank you for all of your time, for everything that you do every day, and including these documents, because I know that that's probably the mundane part of it. So thank you for doing it. Really appreciate all of you.
And thank you so much for coming tonight, because I know, it's been a long day already. So we appreciate your time here tonight to share with us where we are in the strategic plan.
And thank you for your very supportive comments. And Krigus, are you up at 4 tomorrow morning for DC? Yeah. Okay. Matt, thank you for doing that.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Is there any other new business from the board tonight? Then we will approve the final reading of the amended Title I Family and Community Policy. You all received an email from Sandy with her editorial remarks on those changes. So I will entertain a motion to adopt the amended Title I Family and Community Policy, KB.
I'll second it.
I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. 400. Approval of the April 21st, 2025 public minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by Rachel, seconded by Lori. Any edits or changes? Okay, all those in favor? 400. Do I have a motion for the May 5th, 2025 public minutes?
I move to accept the May 5th, 2025 minutes.
I'll second.
Moved by Naomi, seconded by Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor? 400. Amy's not here, so I'll turn it over to Bill for educator resignations and nominations.
We have one resignation from Jocelyn O'Connor from the middle school. And we have some nominations. Peter Laurie, a physical education teacher at Thornton's Ferry, that is a replacement for an existing position. Marcy James, special education teacher at the high school, a replacement. Sarah Parado, who is going to receive a stipend for being the school counselor, and she will be the school counselor at the Merrimack Middle School. That is, she is replacing a person who is leaving. Sarah Paone, school counselor at Reed's Ferry. That is the new position that you supported, and very, very important. Because as Matt said earlier, I believe, looking at the enrollment, TFS and RFS are within one student right now. One's 507, one's 508. And that school needs an additional counselor. So thank you, Budget Committee, and the voters for the support. And Patrick Keefe, language arts teacher at Merrimack High School, Merrimack Middle School, and also a replacement position. So the only new position is the one that the voters approved, you all supported, was the counselor position at Reed's Ferry.
Do I have a motion to accept the resignations and, let me rephrase that, a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 400.
Thank you.
Committee reports. Lori, you want to start with planning and building?
So I'm going to try to make this fast. So planning and building, like Matt said earlier, we met. Tim Groff is the new chairperson. So they were very curious about the policy on naming, and that we are working on updating that policy. One recommendation I would make is last year, Lori Peters, as the chair, came to the Planning and Building Committee at the beginning in September and kind of gave them their charge. And I think that was really good, so they understand what our vision is and what their charge is. We talked about the CIP, and there was a lot of discussion about, the dates and times, and Matt did a great job saying that, this is just the preliminary. As we get into it, we things get more solid. We talked about things that we would like to, stay on there. Some things, it's just like everything else, never leaves. Roofs, we're hoping to leave eventually, but we don't know. And then the other part was about the school board member having voting rights on the planning and building. And what we learned is the Planning and Building Committee actually was formed in 1948. And and there was 6 members to that committee. So that became, a discussion that before they, vote to accept their roles, they would like more information. So maybe that's something we could look into. And then finally, Matt did a presentation. They made some changes to parking, to dropping kids off at J Muse. And so some of the committee members had different ideas, but Finley Rothaus stated that he felt the current situation, the changes that Matt made have made a big difference in the dropout, but we're still exploring some other things. But he felt that it was working, and he drives the kids every day. So
yes, Mr. Rothaus and I bumped into one another with Mr. McCallie in the town hall parking lot one morning to kind of look at the traffic, and it did make a difference. And STA came to the table, Pete from STA, Michelle from STA, Richard Esmond was there. I mean, it was a great group. So, but we're looking to do some refinements. They asked for some additional information, and we gave them another graphic to take a look at to see if that would help out. So it's continuing, but it has improved.
Matt, when will the CIP come to the board for its updated preview?
Usually we do that in the fall. This is earlier than normal exposure to the Planning and Building Committee just to get the ball rolling. I want them to have some time with it this time. And so, yeah, it'll come to you in the fall, well before budget season, probably first meeting in September or something like that. We're going to stay away from discussing these big things in the summertime because we're talking $1 million O'Gara Drive or talking $1 million roof. A lot of people out there during the summertime, it's kind of like they're doing,
They're doing fun things.
They're
while
doing
we're having
fun
meetings.
things while we're having meetings and talking about stuff. So, yeah, it's never a good time to lay some heavy stuff down. But I do encourage everybody, take a drive on O'Gara Drive during the daylight and see what you think. The Highway Department, I want to thank them very much. There was 21 potholes in that thing, and they filled each and every one of them. So I want to thank Dawn. I want to thank the Town of Merrimack Highway Department for making that happen. Free of charge for us.
All right, the Wellness Committee met on May 12th. I was proctoring an AP exam, so I wasn't able to make it to the meeting, but I have the minutes. The Wellness Committee is dividing up into teams to examine USDA wellness policy and guidelines as well as the CDC, and looking at the New Hampshire LEA requirements for local wellness. We're also reevaluating our wellness policy, and there's some attached policies with that, and making sure that we're in compliance with all of those. And the committee will now regularly be meeting on the second Monday of each month, which will be very interesting because that is also agenda setting meeting day for the school board at 3:00. So it could be an interesting afternoon for me to get to that meeting. But it's a great committee. It's got representation from all of the buildings and various departments in the district. I also want to mention that the Budget Committee is meeting on the 27th, which is next Tuesday night after Memorial Day. I will be presenting the reductions in the proposed budget to meet the default budget approved by voters next Tuesday night. So I will be there along with our Budget Committee liaison representative, or Budget School Board liaison. Any other committee reports?
So the Professional Development Committee was supposed to meet. That meeting did get canceled. But I do have a question for the district parent group meeting. I am wondering if I can get points of contact from each school, from the parent groups, and then if we can work together of just setting I have some high level things that I think might be useful to talk about, but just want to get your thoughts as well. And I know that the last time that the group met was before COVID. And I know that the superintendent was involved in those meetings as well. So I wanted to see, if that made sense as well. Okay.
So I would say contact the building principals to get that contact information. It might be worth touching base with them now and setting something for the fall.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it was okay to go ahead and
Absolutely.
do that. Okay. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And who's on that with you? I have it over here. Is it Jenna?
Jen is the alternate.
Okay. So even though it's an alternate situation, I'd go ahead, the two of you work together on that. Yep. All right. Correspondence. Lori.
I just had one, the seniors dinner at the Merrimack High School. Just people very, very excited about the dinner, the quality of the food, and just the students at Merrimack High School, how amazing they were.
I've had the usual correspondence with parent concerns that were forwarded to the proper administrators or addressed by the board. I've had a couple regarding events and just clarification of parent events and just pointed them back to the school communications. And of course I had Finn's communication tonight, which all of you will have received, and you'll probably be able to see it afterwards with his thoughts on the strategic plan. Comments from the board. Lori.
So today was Senior Community Service Day. And so in the past, I've never done anything, but now that Mr. Rothaus and I purchased a property that is an old farmhouse that needs a lot of work, I signed up for it today. I had 3 amazing students. Bella, Caitlin, and Sarah came. They could not have worked any harder. They could not have been more excited about Merrimack High School and graduating and the experiences they had. I asked them a lot of questions, but they were just amazing. And I just, for the first time ever experiencing it as someone who had them come to my house, I really appreciated them.
Any other board comments? Rachel.
I do have one from, so at the middle school, the parent-teacher group worked with Laura's World Fund as well as the student council. So there was a student council-driven initiative to get a new water fountain and water bottle refiller station. And Laura's World Fund was generous enough to donate the cost of the entire station and installation. So the student council was very proud to come back from April vacation and see that they had that and now have a way to safely and cleanly fill their water bottles. So just wanted to thank Laura's World Fund and the student council for identifying a need and seeing it come to fruition. So, and with that, with the middle school, I just want to say, Bill, you talked about all of the trips and all the great things that have happened. So I love that the high school has continued to go on trips, that they are great students and role models while there. And our 8th graders are going to DC. And I was lucky enough to go last year as a chaperone. And I just want to wish the students well, be safe, have fun, learn a lot. And if any parent had any reservations about chaperoning, if their students are coming up to the middle school, don't have reservations, go on the trip if you can, because it's a fantastic learning experience.
And I just want to say, I think this is a wonderful time of year. There's so many great opportunities to see what your students are learning and doing in school. So please be at many of those events as your schedule will allow. And lastly, I would like to take a moment to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country that we will be remembering next Monday on Memorial Day, and those Gold Star families who are part of that sacrifice. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Made by Rachel.
Second.
Seconded by Naomi. All those in favor? 400. Thank you and good night.